Welcome to Love of My Daughter-in-Law podcast. I'm relationship expert and master certified coach Leanne Austin. I'll help you create more connection and fun with others, especially your daughter-in-law. Hey y'all, welcome to Love and My Daughter-in-Law, episode number 124, Hugs and Notes with Liz Bunker. I love observing and connecting with other humans, especially noting how they feel and implement love into their lives and their relationships. We have the amazing Liz Bunker sharing some beautiful love and relationships insights with us today. All right, Liz, tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, hi. I'm a wife, a mother of two daughters, a sister, a daughter-in-law, and I'm a teacher. I think that's the thing I probably identify with most is I'm a teacher. I work with special ed students in a general ed curriculum at an elementary school, and I love my job.
I love that. I love that. And you're an amazing teacher. And Liz forgot to mention that she was Teacher of the Year. Just a little side note there. So
You're
pretty
so
cool.
sweet.
I love
that. That was a big honor because I work in a building full of amazing teachers. So to be recognized by your colleagues like that is really an honor.
Super.
An honor.
But yeah, I love that. All right. So how do you incorporate love into your business and life, and how does that impact your relationships?
Well, so I try to show up and be myself and always think about what the people around me can look at things from their perspective and think, what could help them? What could I do to make their life a little easier? Mm-hmm. And I was really blessed, I think, when I fell into this job at Oak Grove Elementary, which is an elementary school. When I went back to teaching, I really thought, I want to teach middle schoolers and teach sixth grade math was sort of a sweet spot I love. But I ended up in this job teaching special ed kids in general curriculum. And it really brings all my gifts together. And the first thing I always do, and it's the whole culture at the school I work at, is a relationship. You have to have a relationship with that student before you're going to get them to do anything else. That is the most important thing, and to meet their needs. And so we have this mission that every child that walks in the building is greeted by at least two adults, and if not more, but also by their name. And we started this as just a greeting, and the immediate reaction of many kids was to give you a hug. So now it became this thing of a greeting and a hug for whoever wanted it. Some kids don't want that, some do. But it's when we started doing that, it really changed the days for many of our kids, because if they came in and they had something upsetting happen or frustrating happen before they came in the door, we were able to grab them at that moment coming in and reset. Well, not 100% of the time, but most of the time we're catching them, you're resetting them. So they're getting to the classroom and they're happy, they're ready to learn.
I love that so much, like starting the day out just with that connection.
And we all say that we have this corner in our school, we call it the corner of hug and love, where one side comes the bus riders, the other side comes the car and golf cart riders. So every kid's coming through the intersection of hug and love and getting some love. And I am lucky to be there. Classroom teachers are all outside their classroom door, but then any other staff is welcome to be at hug and love. And I feel so blessed I get to start my day that way, because there's nothing better than getting a hug from a little child, and to get 20 of them before 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty darn lucky. and people who visit will say, I wish I could do this every day, or I really missed it when I wasn't here last week and I didn't get to come do this. And it is just a great way to start your day.
Ah, I
And
love that so much. Yeah.
so I try to get to know my students, and I start off by always sending them a note saying how I'm looking forward to working with them. I'm glad we're going to be working together this year. And if it's a new student, how I'm looking forward to getting to know you. Or if it's a student I've had, because sometimes I'll get to work with students multiple years, and tell me I'm looking forward to us working together. And I always try to learn more about them outside of school and connect with them as a person, not just as a student, and share myself as a person, not just as a teacher.
Mm,
And that always helps. And I try to go to recitals or games if I know they're having those. And that helps to get to know them outside of school. And for some of these kids, school's not where they shine.
mhm,
So for
mhm,
them to be recognized in this other place, and you to acknowledge this other place in their life where they do shine, is huge.
mhm.
And I enjoy that. But then throughout the year, I'll send them notes. I usually use the holidays. Like I'll send one initially at the beginning of the year in August, and then one for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's, then Easter, spring. And if they don't celebrate like those, I'll just call the holiday season or spring
Uh-huh.
instead of Easter. But send them a little note and comment on something accomplishment they've done recently or something I know they're really working hard on. And so they realize like I recognize that, because you can tell them that in words, but when they get something outside, and especially mail, kids don't like get mail anymore. So they love that they get mail. They love
Right.
that.
So you actually mail it to them. These notes you'll actually mail to them. Oh, Liz, I
Yes.
love that. I love
Now,
that.
a problem I'm starting to run into is our mail service is not so reliable. And sometimes I'm getting them back like 2 months later and they never got delivered. They're returned to me, but I'll
Mhm,
keep doing it as long as like some are getting it, because it
mhm.
makes them it makes them really happy.
Well,
And
and
sometimes they never say anything, but their parents will say that really meant a lot to them. Or
oh,
some parents will take a picture of them opening it or showing it. It's really cute, and they'll send me this picture, and that just like makes my day.
that's awesome. Well, what a loving way for you to connect and build the relationships out of school, like going to the things and sending these notes. That's beautiful. I love that. Awesome. All right. So, what is something that you love about you and why?
So it's not a body part, but something I like about myself is that I can be self-disciplined and do like that boring thing over and over and over, like every day I can show up doing it.
Mhm,
And I know not everybody can do that. And
mhm.
I can do that. And I don't mind doing that. And I like that I can be consistent and just do something for the long haul. Like
Yes.
I like that.
Yes, and that is
Um,
an amazing trait I love about you as well, because Liz is kind of a rock star. Like I get to run with her often, and she does CrossFit, and she can do pull-ups, by the way, which is still my dream, so I'm working on that. But she's so good on stuff like that, being consistent and being regular. She does triathlons and she just shows up and keeps showing up. And I think that is huge in
well,
moving towards where we want to be. I admire that so much about you. That's cool. Yeah.
thank you. I like having some new goal to work on and
Mhm.
trying something new. I know you're like that too. But
It's a fun thing. Yeah.
just remember, I was 59 when I did that first pull up.
Okay, so I have a couple more years, a few more
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
So you're doing great.
I'm on my way. I love it. All right. So I love talking about connection with others and ourselves. And I think the daughter in law relationship is packed full of endless examples to learn from. So, any thoughts about being a daughter in law?
It's it's a special relationship. I have an amazing mother-in-law who I love and admire. She's a very strong woman and very smart and confident in her who she is. And she's been a great role model for me and my daughters. And but do we relationships ebb and flow. And sometimes I don't always like her, but I always love her. And how can you not love that person who brought your loved one into the world and raised them, because they're part of them. Like the apple doesn't fall from far from the tree, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a special relationship.
Yeah.
And I will never get to be a mother-in-law because I have two daughters, but I'll never have daughter-in-laws, but I look forward to being a mother-in-law and having sons because I've never had sons. So that's kind of a fun part of life that you can kind of come around. Like you have never had daughters and now you have two daughter-in-laws, and
Exactly.
it's amazing how life can just change like that, your world. And
Absolutely. And I love the appreciation for that they mothered your spouse or whatever, because I think even when the relationship isn't going the way we necessarily want it, if we can bring our brains back to, wait a second, hey, they went through life with my spouse and I love and adore, so just that appreciation I think is super helpful as well. That's a great reminder.
and remembering that you both have this huge thing in common, that you love this deeply,
Yes.
love this other person.
Yes.
But I've been, I think, very lucky. My mother-in-law's been a great role model for my daughters, and I think it's interesting sometimes the things they can learn from their grandparents that you might have said to them, but they don't listen. but
Yes.
but they
Yes.
listen.
You
I
listen
don't know,
to
coming from a
grandma.
different generation,
Yes.
maybe it's just so much further removed. Maybe that just resonates more, or just, I don't know. That amazes me because I grew up not really knowing my grandparents, so that's been a blessing to me and a prayer answered, that my children would have relationships and know their grandparents, because I think it is such a blessing to
Yes.
have that family. Family's so important. And
Yes. And that's such a good point too, that sometimes they won't listen to you, but they'll listen to grandma for sure. I love that. Well, anything else that you want to share, Liz? Anything else you're thinking?
no, I can't think of anything.
Okay. All right. So what is your favorite question or quote about love, and how have you used it for yourself and in your relationships?
Well, I came across this quote from Desmond Tutu. I read this book that him and the Dalai Lama, um, well, someone else wrote the book about the two of them, but with them, but it was written by a journalist. But it's about their relationships, and the two of them are full of such wisdom in relationships and how to love our neighbor and how to love each other. But he talked about how, he says, to do your little bit of good where you are, it's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. And I love that because I don't feel like I'm like this amazing person who's gonna do something just grand in the world. And you don't have to. You just need to keep showing up and doing your little bit. That's all, that's all we're all really asked to do. And we can do. And that just is like, that's so attainable. Like, okay, yes, I can do that. And
Yeah.
it's also a reminder that it's that constant little bit and that constant drip that makes big impacts over a long period of time.
Uh,
And I love that.
I love that too. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Something to think about. Thank you, Liz, for sharing your love insights with us today.
You're
So
welcome.
appreciate you being here.
I just love your podcast. And I got to say, one of my other new thoughts about love that I think about in questions is, I learned on your show is, what would I do if I loved them? What would I do if I loved myself? And I've been working on that. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the wisdom you are bringing to all of us.
Thank you
Thank,
so much.
thank you.
Well, have a good one, y'all. And here's to hugs, notes, connection, and love. If you enjoyed this podcast, take a look at my Connection Crew program and one-on-one coaching options by checking out the show notes. In those programs, I teach and coach a variety of ways to have more fun and connection in your relationships. I also share how I have created a beautiful relationship with my daughters-in-law. And if you want one easy question you can keep in your back pocket and use to increase the love you feel for your daughter-in-law today, go to leanneaustin.com and get the one question.